Our last nominator tonight, Kyla Buckingham, will be introduced by another board member and my spouse, Kathy Williams.
Thank you very much, Doug. And as the newest member of the Carlston family, I would be remiss if I did not, especially since I come from a family that is not a family of educators, I would be remiss if I did not mention that the head of the family is also an educator. Alice Carlston has her degrees and taught both in the areas, in all three areas of math, art, and astronomy. So as the head of the family, I beg to give her that title, Chuck. I want to make sure that we acknowledge Alice Carlston and the work that she did with the Broderbund Foundation and the work that she has done with the Carlston Family Foundation. And I am blessed this evening to be able to introduce the next presenter, and that is Kyla Buckingham, who grew up in Reading. She's the youngest of 7 children. Even though she's the youngest, she is definitely, I think, the most dynamic in her family. She grew up in an environment where there was no expectation of a college education whatsoever. And so she looked to school, and particularly to high school, as the place where she got her role models of how to be in the world. Since she graduated in 2009 from University of San Diego with a BA degree in literature and writing, she has been a manager of a nonprofit based in Los Angeles, California, that was involved in advocating for mental health in the high school system. While she was there, she used some of that literature and writing background and did a lot of work in editing and working with the website and content management. But that wasn't enough for a girl from small town Reading. To just be in San Diego or move beyond San Diego into Los Angeles. She had her sights set for New York City, which is where she's living now. She's been living there for the past year, and she is an editor with the publishing company John Wiley, editing chemical journals, which is very, very interesting. She provides copy editing and also issue management. In her spare time, she has become a long-distance runner, has run a couple of marathons and done several half marathons, but she managed to take some time out of her busy schedule to nominate her wonderful teacher, and I will give her an opportunity to introduce you to him and hear more about him. Thank you very much, Kyle.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my honor to introduce Mr. Valdivia to you today. I don't know if he knows what an impact he made on me going to college, but I wasn't really from a college-bound family demographically. I was the youngest of 7. My parents were hard workers, but neither one of them had gone to college. They divorced when I was still small, and we were on welfare for many years. My parents also, honestly, just had a hard time caring for themselves, so as kids, we often fended for ourselves. And when I was 15, I had Mr. Valdivia when I was 14 and 15 as a freshman and sophomore. And at that time, everybody in my household was clinically depressed. I had a grandmother at home who was on hospice, and my mother and the only sister left at home were both openly suicidal. Meanwhile, I was also depressed, and I started skipping meals to deal with all the pressures of being a teen and living in a really chaotic and unpredictable household. And then by the time I was 19 and in college, I'd lost so much weight that I had to leave college to be treated inpatient for anorexia. Today, things are very different. And I think what made the big difference for me was that high school was such a great experience for me. It was my escape from home. My siblings, all the older ones, just one by one when they got to high school, their grades started declining. One of them dropped out, one of them struggled with a meth addiction, abusive relationships, things. So it was, we just had this pattern in my family where we'd get to high school and then kind of spiral down. But first period freshman year, I had Mr. Valdivia, and his class was so much fun. And I had never liked history before, and suddenly history was the coolest thing ever. We made videos of like history events and had to tell them like they were a current event and a news story. Mr. Valdivia dressed up as Napoleon and different historical figures. And it was just so much fun that I loved school, and I was really inspired to do well, and rather than, say, dropping out, as some of my siblings had left. So today things are really different. I live in New York City. I am an editor for scientific research journals at John Wiley & Sons. This is the oldest publishing house in the U.S. Fortune magazine has called it one of the 100 best companies to work for. We publish academic books. You might have had some of our textbooks in high school. You might recognize our For Dummies series or Cliff Notes. It's not my fault if your kids are reading Cliff Notes instead of their assigned books, though, because I work on very technical chemistry journals. I don't understand them, but I know that subjects and nouns have to agree, so that's what I do. I also enjoy ballroom dance and distance running, and I finished my second full marathon last spring in Providence. And I also had my 10-year high school reunion last summer, which I came back to California for. But 10 years ago, honestly, it would have been hard for me to predict where I am today. So I didn't really think that college was an option for me. I mean, it sounded cool, but when my friends started researching college, I didn't get excited. I didn't join in. It just, my parents didn't expect me to go, and I didn't think I could afford it. But Mr. Valdivia made sure that I knew about the UC system and that we had great public universities here in California, and that there were also options of paying for them. And so with his encouragement, I applied to UCSD, which is also where both he and Mrs. Valdivia attended, and I was accepted. My parents were furious, and I fought with them every day about it as a senior, but I went anyway. And I think something that made Mr. Valdivia very different from other teachers was not only did he make school fun, which makes a big difference when home is not fun, but also we knew that he really cared about us, and when he asked for our opinion, he meant it. He was always available outside of class for students to talk to him, ask for advice. Also in his personal growth class, that was the first time I'd ever talked about or learned about mental health issues, which were very important in my family, and something we weren't allowed to talk about at home. And so that, just opening that conversation eventually enabled me to ask for help when I was in college. So I would say when you don't have a supportive home life, then you look for help in other places. And if you can find a really inspiring teacher who can be that role model for you, encourage you to follow your dreams, even when it seems like odds are against you, then that can make all the difference. So it's my honor to introduce to you my inspiring teacher who pointed me towards new opportunities, and his concern for his students was always very genuine. He's truly an outstanding teacher of America, Mr. Valdivia.
I don't even know really what to say or where to start or where to begin. For me, education, that opportunity opened itself up. I don't know. I think just every opportunity that I've had has happened for a reason. I didn't know necessarily that education was where I was going to go either. My father came to the United States, and my mother both came to the United States, and he went up becoming a Spanish teacher at the community college because he knew that education was the most important thing in coming to the United States. And so he had been a teacher, and I saw him grade papers all the time, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's just not doing that, and definitely not going to become a teacher. But I think that God had other plans for me, and then the opportunity came for me to go into education, and I really feel like that pulling at my heartstrings were working with teenagers, and not knowing whether I'd be able to have the knowledge to pass on to students, whether I'd be good enough or strong enough of a teacher to really make an impact was kind of a concern, but really I knew that when it came down to it, it was just caring for those kids and watching them grow and helping them when those moments of despair occur. Like for me, that's always been my motivating factor in education, and that is pouring my heart into them and letting them shine. Because when you look at these students that are here today, I think they are amazing individuals. You just look at them and they're, like it has been said before, they're the inspiration for us, they're inspiration for others. They're the ones that should be written about, should be praised. And you see that as educators, I think. You see that all that in every single student, that they have that they can really make us, keep us going. I mean, and so for me, it's always just been, if I can just give my heart to them, if I could give them my love and my support, if I could give them any bit of joy, happiness, encouragement, make their day, the rest is just, it's gravy. The academic component is going to be there. As educators, we try to be professional, we'll do our job, but if we could show them that we care and that we really do care and love about them, that I think that makes the world a difference. And that only grew, I think, in me and in my heart, when there was a moment in our life when my wife and I didn't think we could have kids. And so for many years we didn't have the thought that would occur. And so that was obviously heartbreaking, and that just made me pour all the more into my students, because those students became my kids. And ever since that moment, where I felt I could never have children, every kid became my own. And I think a lot of teachers, of course, do that, that these kids become their kids, and we try to put everything we can into them and raise them in the few minutes that we have with them as if they were our own. And but again, like I said before, things happen and God has different plans, and now I have 4. So you heard the other one probably crying over there. There's the newest addition. It's just amazing, again, how things occur, and how I think if you really just have a love and a passion for everything, you put everything your heart into it, how you'll be rewarded for those things. And so it's just, I feel definitely very blessed in the life that I have, and the profession that I have, and the people that I get to work with and meet and interact with. It's just amazing. So I'd just, of course, like to thank the people that are here and been supportive of me in this process. Of course, Kyla, one of my very first students that I had an opportunity to work with, and obviously remember very vividly, and all my silliness that I did as a first couple of years of teaching, and just. It's just, I didn't even know I had that type of impact even then, because as a first year teacher, you always think, well, I don't know. You look back at it and I wasn't very good. How did I do that? I don't know. I was winging it. But I also want to thank, of course, that I have 2 principals here, actually 4 that were my principals. So I had Shelley Peterson, who was one of my first principals here, and actually gave me the first few opportunities to actually take on more leadership roles and continue to expand my abilities as an educator. And I think she put a lot of faith and trust in me initially, and so I appreciate her being here. And then at the same school, and now the current principal, Eric Peterson over there, happen to be married to each other now as well. So it's Eric as well. Over the years, he's put so much faith in me, given me so many opportunities to take on new responsibilities and have an impact in the school that I graduated from, and to go to school there and work there is just amazing. And then, of course, my wife, who's back there too, who has had to endure all the long hours of me working or away from home. So I thank her for all the sacrifices she's made to allow me to do the things that I do. So, and finally, to the Carlson Family Foundation, just what an amazing, wonderful gift is to us, to students, to everyone here that's involved that gets to hear about the things that educators are doing, and to allow us to be reinvigorated to keep doing what we're doing. So thank you very much for what you guys do.